Alright guys, let's wrap this up once and for all. There's been 2 more victims that came out against Zillakami in the Zillakami subreddit recently, or maybe the City Morgue one because the Zilla one is still locked down for whatever reason at this point. It's nice to see that more victims now feel like they can speak out against this rabbit fan base, but at the same time I feel like I don't want to entertain that fan base anymore and I kind of just want to let this die. So I'm going to cover these last 2 stories, and then if anything else comes out that has to do with Zillakami, I probably won't cover it after that. If there is something about Sos or Scumbag Chad or anybody else related, then I probably will cover that because that will be something new. But when it comes to Zillakami, I think we all know at this point that he's pretty well finished. I think his label even dropped him, and that's why he has control over the SoundCloud now. There's probably a lot of people who have cut him off. I don't think he'll be doing tours or putting out albums anymore, so Zilla is basically done, and it feels like beating a dead horse at this point. Although I do have to say that the second story probably is the goriest thing that's happened so far, so it is worth covering, so I won't waffle on anymore. Let's actually get into it. So first off, we got that 17-year-old girl who came out against Zilla in the beginning. I kind of forgot about her with the whole Sleazy Skiz, DK, now Molly Santana's involved, but she was actually one of the first people to come out against him. She posted saying screen recordings. I was accused of faking all the screen recordings, so I wanted to find a new way to show them. I was 17 during this conversation, and I understand to a lot of his fans that's not a big deal, and if you feel that way, so be it. We never actually met up as I don't live anywhere near him, but I did FaceTime him a few times. I feel like I have to share this to help validate the victim's story and show a pattern of him getting involved with minors. There is a power imbalance, and he knew that. He was doing this to get involved with underage fans. I was being harassed and my information was being leaked, which is why I deleted the original screen recording post, but seeing people call it fake / misconstruing the story has been getting to me, so here you go. I also just found out that Zillakami has since blocked me, even though we haven't spoken in years, so I know he's aware of some of these DMs and has them himself, especially now. The whole situation has given me really bad anxiety, and I no longer want to speak on it after this, but I felt like I needed to share. She then goes on to show her scrolling through the messages, proves that it's actually Zillakami's account, and that the DMs between her and him are actually real. And if you don't remember these DMs, these are actually the ones where he was talking about getting a girl wet in class when she was in high school and he was 21 years old. So yeah, that's pretty gory, and she's now able to prove that they're actually real DMs, so that's just another piece of evidence on top of Zillakami. We then have a part 2 that says, obviously I have many DMs with him like this and I don't want to spam the subreddit, so this will be my last post. And there's also a screen recording on my page. I'll be logging out of this account now, and I want to say thank you to the people who have been kind. I really appreciate it, and you definitely made it a lot easier for me to feel comfortable coming forward. I also wish the best to everybody else involved. If you have to come back out and prove anything further, I will provide. And then we have the messages. He says, your rule. She says, I don't want to wait, just be mine. He says, don't wait, don't graduate. You forgot I rapped, huh? My name needs a diploma for a job. She cannot rap like you. She wishes, but she can't. She can. Make with me. Make with the 17-year-old girl. That's what Zillakami said. Okay, let's just keep going. Best hits in the game, but that sucker. Damn, I said sucker. I hate you. Bye. Okay, you don't have to lie to me like that. I see. I win. Nah, come back. I won. No, to be honest, yeah, best hits. They're so nice. You got me. Wow, guess I'll... Yeah, I'm not saying that, guys, but you can see what he said. I'm dying how? Okay, your face is getting thank you. No problem. Okay, I miss you. Yep, so there you go. Okay guys, so that accuser was able to come back into the situation and prove that her DMs were actually real, but that was only her FaceTiming and texting with Zilla, which definitely isn't appropriate. But now we have a girl that actually met up with Zilla, and this story is pretty horrific, so I'm just going to read the whole thing out right now. I'm truly sorry for any Zilla fans affected by this, but this man is a predator and I have proof. First off, I want to say I'm sorry for holding this information for so long. I've been going through what most people can't imagine as of lately. I was shocked and low-key in denial. I also did not want to be a target for hate or be hurt in any way. I've already been hurt in ways that I don't even think I can speak about just yet publicly. Maybe one day eventually. Everything I say in this paragraph is not dramatized or twisted. I will tell everything, including what I have said to him, let him do to me. I don't want to be pinned as a liar or just some girl trying to put away a black man, whatever the internet wants to say about me, speaking the truth. This is the truth. If you don't see it and you choose to still support him, you are the problem. I first met him online in the beginning of 2022. I was 19. He sent me his number through Tinder and we texted from there almost every day or so. He would call and FaceTime, basically talking about his mental health and shit. I'd rather not say that because his mental instability isn't what we're here for. He would say lewd stuff and I would say it back, of course. He followed me on Insta and continued to do that. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know how big his fan base was. At the time, I wasn't allowed outside. I just got my license, but I didn't really know how to drive. I had strict parents, I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend or go outside, I didn't get a phone until I was 18, I barely had electronics or even a TV, my parents are old, 62, and they didn't want me to get exposed to the real world, and now I know why. I am also on the spectrum and very sickly. I've never traveled to the city by myself or driven there, I was inexperienced and scared. We talked for a year online back and forth, dreaming about how we get to see each other after he came back around Christmas time in 2023, and he asked me to come over. I told him at the time that I couldn't because my car was broken and I didn't know how to drive on the city highway. He said if I didn't come I was lame, and it was actually easy to drive because at the time he asked me to come there was no one on the street. He eventually convinced me to come, and keep in mind I like this man a lot, but that doesn't change the fact that if someone who liked me very much, I wouldn't make them come to a dangerous area, alone, and subject them to what they did unsafely to me. I almost got into a car crash coming to him on the highway, almost missing my exit. I got there late because I missed a lot of exits. I got there and called him a few times. He didn't answer, and I immediately started getting scared because I was there alone in a place I wasn't familiar with. He finally answered me 20-30 minutes later, explaining he fell asleep and almost didn't wake up. He then invited me into the hotel. I want to clarify something. I was not his fan. I had no knowledge of him prior to him following me on Instagram because I wasn't really tapped into the underground scene at this point in my life. The Williams Hotel 2022. I arrived and I was nervous meeting him in person. This was someone who I had been talking to for a year. I was meeting him for the first time and I had a couple of snacks with me, popcorn and water. But I didn't know that was all I was about to eat for almost a week. Like I said, he pressured me to come. I told him I had no money at all for gas to go back, for parking, and for food, water. I had none. I was literally working on a painting to be able to get food. So when bro had me there, he'd leave all day to party and do drugs while I sat there with no food and water. I was afraid to speak up because I'm a very quiet person and I didn't value myself at the time. I was also very sick and weak. I ended up getting hurt at work and having scatia, so my body hurt like hell. Bro literally starts play fighting me, kicking my face and shit. I tell him to stop, that hurts multiple times. He's laughing and thinking it's funny. He ended up really hurting me until I fell down. He would twitch oddly, and then when he got back from these parties, he'd listen to crazy music that greened me out. And then when I finally finished my commission and got money for food to Uber, this mother takes away my phone and tells me not to order Popeyes, then orders pressed juices for me instead. He literally pressured me to drink them nasty ass things, talking about how they were good for me and shit. I lost weight from just a couple of days. He told me he was leaving, so I had to go home. I spent Christmas with him instead of my family, and I regret that with all of my soul. The Pineapple Hotel 2023. Right after New Year's, about a week later, he tells me to come at 12 a.m. in the morning to the Pineapple Hotel in Manhattan. Now when I get there, he can barely walk. He was high off and tells me that I had to take a line. I said no, I've never done drugs before other than smoke weed, and I was afraid. I told him I had to work in the morning and didn't want to risk it. I said no multiple times. He told me if I didn't do it I was lame and that I had to join him, and he didn't know why I came here if I didn't want to do. He told me it was good for me and it would help me feel relaxed. He told me the effects wouldn't last long and I didn't have to worry. I finally said okay, and he says he needs to watch me to make sure I do it right. I said no again because I was embarrassed and I don't want him to watch me. He just kept pushing and pushing me until I did it, and then he made sure I did it all. My body stopped working. I couldn't walk, I couldn't pick up my head. It felt like time froze permanently. He then takes off my clothes and makes me do with him. Since I was on my period, he literally pushed my head up and down because I couldn't do it myself. Then I believed he took a video of me naked on the bed. I know this because the video replayed over and over again with the laugh in it. He had the camera pointed at me, and well, when he saw that I heard the video, he gave me a weird look and it looked like he sent it to somebody. Apparently he has done this to multiple different girls. He told me to take bumps mad times, and when I said no, we had to watch a Catch a Predator marathon on YouTube until he fell asleep. I went to work like 30 minutes after he fell asleep. I almost got into an accident on the way out of the city, going down a one-way because I felt groggy from the So Smula's House 2023. Zilla calls me and texts me asking to come over to Brooklyn to his homie's house. His homie had a parrot, TV in front of the table, and a couch with small bathrooms and a fridge. That was next to a sink with 2 other rooms. One was apparently Zilla's. He took a beer out of the fridge and tells me to drink it. Just before we go a little bit farther, apparently this wasn't So Smula's house. Apparently it might have been Scumbag Chad's house because he does have a parrot that he would often post on Instagram, and So Smula doesn't have a bird, so it might have been Scumbag Chad's, might have been So Smula, but anyways, we'll continue on. I told him I don't drink and I don't like beer. Again, he pressured me, saying to drink the whole thing altogether. I reluctantly took it and drank it. He took a bunch of prescription pills and ate an entire rotisserie chicken with his hands. I got drunk as and tried to play it off, and I don't know what kind of beer it was, but it had a dog on the front of it and was really strong. So when he started pinching me really hard and play hitting me again, I got annoyed and bothered. Because he never really let me touch him, but he was allowed to do that to me. It didn't really make sense, but we ended up having and after that I fell asleep. I couldn't sit straight and was extremely tired. He then wakes me up saying I can't stay there at 4 a.m. and he has to go to the studio. I was literally falling asleep as he was talking to me, and he started picking up my bag saying he was going to put it outside for the crackheads to go through if I didn't get up. So at the time I couldn't drive because I was too tired. I came from 2 hours away and I couldn't sleep in my car because it was 98 degrees outside. I had no air conditioning, it was hard to breathe, so I waited until morning and then drove home on no sleep. I ended up sleeping in my car because at the time my parents locked the door and kicked me out. Recently he called and texted me to come over, and each time I said no. This was like 3 months ago or so. So in conclusion, this man preys on women who are vulnerable, weak and skinny, unable to defend themselves. He preyed on us and made us feel special, diluted my brain into thinking that taking was okay, and recently I've been dealing with the addiction urge to take it because of him. And I'm still dealing with the trauma that his close friends have brought to me. I'm not ready to talk about that yet because this is all about Zilla. Please do not entertain his lies. He has said himself that he has been diagnosed with schizophrenia. It's sad to see him control young children and have them create hate towards the victims so they feel too afraid to come out. I couldn't sit with myself anymore. I've been letting this run through my mind for a while. I'm sorry it took so long to speak out. You have no idea how this affected my life and growth. I am now 21 and haven't begun to enjoy my youth or even experienced a lot of things still. I feel like I'm stuck as a person and I'm worthless. I lost a lot of my ambition due to the chain of events starting with Zilla and ending with his friends. I've experienced trauma, things I cannot repeat on here at the moment. If you had an appointment to get rid of any merch and tattoos, keep that appointment. Thank you for reading. Honestly guys, I don't even know what to say about that. That's one of the most horrific stories I've ever heard, not to mention the fact that apparently Zillakami's friends are also involved in this in some way, so I'm interested to hear about that if she does want to come out about it. It seems like a good time with everybody finally backing off and letting the victim speak. I hope that more and more comes out to the point that everybody who's involved gets outed and the fan base doesn't do anything about it. They don't try to defend, they stop doxing, and they just leave these girls alone because as you can see, they've already been through enough. That was actually my first time reading that as I'm recording this video. I didn't pre-read it and I actually can't believe what that said. Things have gotten so much worse just from that story, but now let's look at the proof that she has. Want to know a little story about this picture? I was high off I was pressured into taking a line of it by the person I was seeing at the time. I never did drugs before I was 19 and said multiple times I only did it because I liked him and was afraid that he'd be upset with me. He took off my clothes and recorded me. I'm pretty sure I'm naked here while I was high on the bed. I laughed at my own joke and heard his phone play my laugh over and over again as he pointed the camera at me. I don't know to who or where that video was sent, but that's the man you want to defend and call innocent. She then goes on to show a picture of her and Zillakami together where he's so high that he's passed out with his hands over his face. I'm not exactly sure what this is a picture of, but I'm assuming this must have been the actual hotel that they were at. She then goes on to show messages of him pressuring her to come over. She says come here. He says that's in 2 hours. She says it's either that or an Uber tomorrow. What you want to do? He says whack, can't meet me halfway. I have to do stuff tomorrow. She says my car is held together by duct tape right now and zip ties. I mean I can see if there's any available Ubers. Try man, just come to the Wilsonburg Hotel. You better be on the road. We then have Instagram messages where he says show me. How about you come over here today? I have to see my brother's concert. I wish. Boo. He's playing the original so I can't miss it. Sad face. But I want to come over on the weekend if you're free. Friday to Sunday, and I'll be having a week off soon. Miss it. Definitely can't. I'm excited to see it. Friday or Saturday? What you doing? Nothing. I was just showering. Cute. When can I see you? When do you want to? Soon please. Let me know what day, love. This picture should say it all. Glad I took photos of everything, bro. What do you think this is? Still want to say I'm capping? I'm not even sure what that is. She has it censored and I'm probably going to censor it even more, but I think it might be some sort of drugs or maybe a condom. I remember I came to visit him for a week. He had literally also called me to pressure me to drive him. Mind you, I told him I don't know how to drive, and well, I never drove on the highway, but somehow man's convinced me to come over for Christmas and stay with him for a week. I had no money for food or anything. He knew this and only fed me these juices, stopped me from ordering regular food. I slept all day and waited for him to come back from his little parties and shows that he was at. He come back completely high off some shit. And there you go guys, that's her entire story, and honestly, I don't really have a whole lot more to say. I think that speaks for itself, and I just want to move on from this, so if she comes out against any of his friends or anything else comes out about that whole situation, then I'll cover it. But as far as Zilla, screw that dude, he's a weirdo. I don't really have anything else to say about him. If you're still defending him, I'm not really sure why. I know a lot of people are going to try to defend him for clout because they feel like they can still get close to him, but there's actually no point to be close to somebody like this. Put the music aside for a little bit and actually think about this rationally. Stop thinking about your career and how you can put out a song with him and maybe get a little bit of clout, because at this point it's going to make you look very bad. That's all I gotta say. Bye guys.